Having discovered the peril that lay upon Andrath, and causally Bree, I rushed off to limit it. Sharky's brigands and half-orcs had claimed the area, blocking passage between Bree and the southern lands. Refugees seeking escape in Bree would instead wander directly into the reaching grasp of evil. Trade would be stifled, and movement would stagnate. I had to help free these lands from the malevolent presence. I first searched for Grimbriar's scouts. Hopefully they had not yet fallen, and would provide me with a better insight on how I could best put my skills to work. The two of them had managed to remain unnoticed in an old watchtower of the South Guard ruins.
What can I do for you?
Watcher Brittleleaf was gladdened to hear that they had not been forgotten. Upon their arrival, the force they found had exceeded expectations.
Stay a moment.
After he had heard my tidings concerning the troubles closer to Bree, he concluded that some of the caravans being let through contained the newly arrived brigands there, and confirmed their fears of half-orcs here in Andrath. Brittleleaf had anticipated greater aid, but I was willing to demonstrate Grimbriar's confidence in me through action, and vowed to thin their ranks.
Could I speak with you a moment?
Brittleleaf also identified Sharky's lieutenant here, a burly man whose lair was situated high in the southwestern ruins. If he could be removed, the brigands would be in disarray, buying time for more to join the fight against Sharky. I then spoke with the other scout, Watcher Oakdale.
Would you do something for me?
According to him, some of the traders were being given access, but at an eye-watering rate, driving up costs in Bree. However, the alternative was worse. If short on coin, their life was forfeit, as were their goods. Thus, Oakdale implored me to search the ruins for any of the confiscated merchandise.
Could I speak with you a moment?
Yes, how else may I aid the good people of Bree? My sword is at your service. Kill Nika Breakers so that you can sleep easier. Sure.
Might I take a moment of your time?
Finally, Oakdale had spied the leader of the half-orcs, supposedly a fearsome sight to behold, and far worse than any leader of men. He informed me of his location and pleaded me not to tell this to Brittleleaf. Oakdale feared that he would act rashly and do something foolish. His secret was safe with me. This half-orc's liveliness, however, would not be.
Southguard Ruins. These ruins, an abode of vile brigands from the south, mark the passage from the Vale of Andrath southwards into long-abandoned Manhiriath.
I decided first to diminish the size of the brigand and half-orc force, while collecting the caravan goods as I came across them. Oakdale's sleep would have to remain disturbed for a little longer. I held no reservations for these scoundrels. Brigands disrupting trade and murdering innocent merchants was bad enough. Their cooperation with these vile half-orcs made the shadow of their malevolence cast further than a burning sun would be able to do. The half-orcs themselves proved a good stepping point to facing real orcs in the future, and did much to detain my earlier apprehensions when I spoke to Bree's mayor, Graham Tenderlarch, about the orcs at Trestlebridge. As I fought the half-orcs, a sliver of sympathy formed in my mind. I did not know how they were created and shuddered to think of it. Whether through interbreeding or foul magic, my opinion of Sharky's reputation, skill and power grew immensely for the worse. This deed must be one of the greatest evils to befall Middle-earth. My sympathy originated with the inability to understand how contented these half-orcs, or whoever was involved in their creation, were with the process. How far had they been manipulated, and how many had been affected by the results of this disgusting experiment? They were undoubtedly far from natural. My belief was that a full orc would not make me feel as uneasy or sick to my stomach as these. Perched atop the highest level of the ruins, I found Sharky's lieutenant, surveying his small kingdom of hate and brutality. The meager levels of relatability I could experience with the commonplace brigands was vanquished when I engaged any of their superiors. The closer they were to Sharky, the more they must know, the more they would understand, and therefore, the more purposeful and zealous were their actions. Like wildflower seeds, my forgiveness could not be spread over rocky ground. This treatment I happily administered to the leader of the half-orcs, who, unlike the lieutenant, was to be found in the depths of the ruins, hidden in shadow, watching the passage further south. I then applied myself to the improvement of Watcher Oakdale's sleep. In truth, a scout who was unable to rest was useless. If there was even a chance that silencing the Nikabreaker's endless noise would better these scouts' ability to sleep, and therefore aid the good people of this land, and increase the likelihood of their own survival, I would see it done.
What can I do for you?
My support had spurred Watcher Oakdale to take action. He vowed to make sure the next caravan of goods would make it through the brigands and on to Bree.
Greetings.
He had already noticed the decreased level of noise from the Nikabreakers and thanked me for it.
What can I do for you?
The news of the orc captain's death brought further ease to his mind.
What do you need?
Brittle Leaf was less enthusiastic, but perhaps he was right to be so. He had already seen the numbers of the enemy swell and restore those I had purged.
Greetings.
But at least some manner of justice had been served. He also recognized that Bree would not be able to solve this problem alone, and implored me to return to Chief Watcher Grimbriar, report on what I had witnessed, and attempt to persuade him to see through his hatred of the Rangers.
Stay a moment.
His resolve was strong. The two of them would remain and do what they could to stave the tide from spilling into Bree-land. I left with a heavy heart. It felt as if my actions had done little, but I could at least now return to Grimbriar having done what was asked of me. Perhaps Brittle Leaf's words would sway Grimbriar's resoluteness. I only hoped that the two scouts would retreat before making any heroic sacrifice. Bree needed as many brave and skilled hands as possible.
How can I be of service?
Grimbriar's stubbornness seemed to have at least budged. He promised to take his watcher's advice under careful consideration.
Might I take a moment of your time?
I did not understand where his mistrust in the Rangers stemmed from. He claimed they were brutes and had long been a menace. Supposedly those in Trestlebridge and the North Downs were of the same mind. I would keep my ears open for more information if I ever reached those areas. But Grimbriar had no more need for me, and he directed me toward Adso Haybank, the hobbit building an inn who I had already heard of through Barlam and Butterbur. All this travel was wearying, but worse, it was time-consuming. Things were moving faster than ever, and while Bill had been faithful, sturdy and bold, the wider open lands that surrounded me now made clear his shortcomings. He was not exceptionally fast. I had received a letter back in Combe concerning Henningstaser Farm and its horses. It was not too far from Bree, so I set off to purchase a swifter mount.
What do you need?
Eogar was extremely knowledgeable on horses, thanks to his heritage from Rohan, the legendary land where the finest steeds were bred and cared
What can I do
for.
for you?
With his advice, I bought a beautiful chestnut, who I named Wally. He immediately proved his worth. His gait was steady, and it felt more like the world flew past me while I was stationary. I had to look down and remind myself that Wally was indeed galloping, and when I did, I was surprised to see that sparks were not flying from his hooves. Instead of seeking Adso Haybank, I first rode back to Bree. I had to report back to Hazel Kenton of Hilton Harper's return to form after the return of his badge, deliver my handcrafted bronze armor and buckler to Osa Stouthammer to appease his disparaging opinion of the gear owned by Bree's guards, and infiltrate the brigand infiltrateurs located within the heart of the town.
What can I do for you?
Kenton congratulated me and described the true role of a captain, inspiring those who followed them to do great things. Those who followed were loyal, and that loyalty had to be earned. I had earned Hilton Harper's by giving him back his faith in himself. A captain had been needed to show him the strength he thought had been lost forever. Her words stuck with me, and I spent many hours pondering them throughout my adventures to come. I had never stopped to wonder what I had given Humphrey, what had made him follow me through muck, blood, and hardship. Whatever it was, I would not squander his loyalty, as Kenton warned.
What do you need?
All the cerebral activity and philosophical murmurings made me glad to receive a simple clap on the back by the calloused hands of Sir Stouthammer for my handiwork. He complimented my trade, which caused an enormous grin to stick to my face, all the way to the entrance of the sinister brigands' hideout.
Why are you bothering me?
The doorman was not suspicious in the slightest.
I'll not be ignored.
To my benefit and horror, he let slip that the group had grown quite large already. I did not know what to expect, and wasn't even sure what my intentions were, but I gritted my teeth and let him show me in.
An unsavory band of the big folk have assembled and are planning a frightening surprise for Bree. I hope my new friend can stop them.
Upon entry, I was greeted by the frightening quick-wit Culver. He boasted that he had spent all day cutting things, a strange mark of pride. I was glad I had arrived now, as it seemed their long-time plans were about to come to fruition. Twisted Garrett further confused me. What on ardor were they intending to do? He felt rushed and hadn't been able to unpack his ropes. A mass hanging? I feared what awaited Bree were I not successful. Someone arrived. It must have been their leader. My right hand subtly snaked to my sword, and I prepared myself to sever the head of the next man. Surprise! Of course. Happy birthday. It was a surprise party. What a fool I was. I thanked the stars I had not pulled my weapon on the harmless arty root. And the plot thickened. The large batch of turtle soup from Sig Mandrake was for this here party. Unfortunately, the little critters had proved too adorable for Mandrake to roast up, and he had brought them here with the intention to release them back into the wild. But of course, as they had in Grobo Dogwart's shed, the tenacious devils had escaped. Root was a good sport and had a kindly heart. Far from letting either of these troubles upset him, he offered to look after the turtles in his home and extended his friendship to me, which I happily, as well as relievedly, accepted. I helped escort the beasts to their new home, which was spacious indeed, and fortuitously contained a sort of open terrarium or habitat. The turtles did not limit themselves to this, however, and they languished freely all across Root's home.
Hello there.
He thanked me for the part I played in the surprise party, and I left, my mood significantly improved. With a different outlook, I would be warranted to feel irritated. The work I had done for Mandrake had led to naught. The soup had not even been made. The anxiety and fear I felt for the people of Bree amid this surprise birthday party, which I had mistaken for a sinister plot, had only taxed my own mind. But I looked on the whole event favourably, and took it as a reminder to temper my suspicions and paranoia. It would be easy to lose myself amongst looming threats, deceit, corruption, and selfish gain. There were many ordinary people across the land, those who sought only to live peacefully and celebrate events such as birthdays, painstakingly planning and spending their free time in doing so. These were the people I fought for, and it felt important to remember, not to forget that.